So I had been offered, now I'm 11 months sober in a new life, but I'm a little directionless. Like I'm having a great time, but it's kind of like shotgunned where it's like anywhere, everywhere, like, yes. But I found out volunteering doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah, for sure.
and I was broke, and my fight agent called with a fight at the Saitama Super Arena in Tokyo, Japan, in front of 100,000 people live. It would solve my money problems. He's throwing me a golden rope. It's an opponent kind of on a silver platter, meaning it was the least dangerous. All fights are dangerous, but this is the least dangerous fight I can take. And so I said, like, yeah, I want to take the fight. But when the contract came, some reason I felt like I couldn't really sign it yet. And it felt really weird. I'm a fighter. This is what I do. This is who I am. And this is how I pay the bills. But I talked to a friend and he said, man, have you like meditated on it? Like win or lose, you can have an excuse to use. That was true. And then he goes like, just throw it out to the universe, pray about it. And I felt like that sounded weird. I was like, what? Is cloud's going to open and like God's voice, like just, you know, he goes, no. And he goes, well, I don't know. Maybe like if you don't try, you don't know. And it felt weird, but I went back and I just said a prayer, like, God, universe, whatever you want to think. I was just like, what do I do with my life? What do I do with my life? Like, what do I do with my life? And the craziest thing happened. It sounds wild. I've done ayahuasca and psilocybin and bufo and DMT and ketamine, doctor guided therapy, all that stuff. This was the most vivid visual vision I've ever had. It just dropped around me. Closest thing I can compare it to is the Sphere in Vegas with the screens all around you. Like all of a sudden it was just all around me. And I was walking down this footpath. I heard drumming. I kept walking. I heard singing. I kept walking. I come into this clearing and there's these dome huts that are just made of leaves, like twigs and leaves. And I acknowledge this guy and he acknowledges me. We don't talk, but I could count. Basically, I could see that he was starving or like hungry. He was emaciated and like a skeleton with skin on almost. And he was coughing. And I just knew he was hungry, thirsty, poor, sick, oppressed, enslaved, called someone else master, and felt forgotten. And so I came out of that vision. It just dissipated, just disappeared. And I had this yellow legal pad and I wrote down at the top of it, forgotten. And I underlined it, hungry, thirsty, poverty, sick, oppressed, like, and I felt nuts. Honestly, I felt like the reason I brought up psychedelics was either that was a psychedelic reactivation, right?
Yeah.
Or B, scarier, that was a psychotic episode.
Were you, so
I should be committed.
How did this happen? Were you weren't sitting at breakfast eating?
No, I was alone.
Were
I was
doing were you in meditation when this happened? Or
yes, I was. I was thinking about the fight. I had gotten a text from my manager. Have you signed the contract yet? Like or the contract was being sent, I think. And so I started by basically praying, meditating on fight, yes or no, which sounds weird. Like I'd never done anything like that in my life, but it was fight, yes or no. And it basically felt in my spirit, intuition, mind, like it was kind of a no. And I was frustrated. So then I literally just kind of, why not? Like questions, thinking this is what I do. This is my dream fight. This is whatever. I'm frustrated. And then I just leaned into, okay, what do I do with my life? And it'll sound a little woo-woo or wonky or out there, but I ended up like, I'm saying that, and I ended up on my forearms and knees saying it. And then I came out of it like that, still on my hands and knees.
Were your eyes closed when you saw this?
Yeah. But it wasn't like a daydream. And it wasn't like I wasn't asleep.
But I wonder, so I think that I think that drugs can sometimes open gateways or portals in your mind that otherwise, like synapses that otherwise, maybe they lie dormant, right? And perhaps with your experiences with psychedelics prior, the door was left somewhat ajar for you to actually have the muscle to see something or communicate with something that you were able to call upon in such a I want to say stressful time or environment, but like a time where you really were asking somebody, and the only person there, whether it's God, the universe, or not, the only person there is inside of your brain wiring. And
interestingly enough, I'll go here because I've shared this story a little bit more lately, where it's just like, I kind of, I would like to know the answer because I kind of don't know. Maybe it was something in my brain. Other people said, maybe you've been a pygmy in a past life and decided, who do you need to come back to as? And it's like, this Viking dude. Others have said, man, maybe it's just a simple answered prayer. The different stuff, psychedelics were definitely in play, but I was 11 months sober, so they weren't in play in that time frame. But the craziest thing, I'll lead to this part of the story because I got invited to hear this dude share a story. I go listen. His name's Caleb, and he starts telling these wild stories of places he's lived and work he's done. And he lived in Vanuatu, which I think that's how you say it. And it's there's the Vanuatu tribe that invented bungee jumping. It's called land diving. You guys got to look this up sometime.
No
it's
way.
the craziest, gnarliest pictures. Especially,
I'm
these
gonna
guys
check it out for sure.
are not skydiving, bungee jumping, but they have to kiss their head on the ground.
There we go.
Let's pull one of those up
yeah.
because it's insane. Do the one, If you go to the images, it's they just jump off and they have to kiss their head on the dirt.
Wow.
If they don't, I think it's a rite of passage. If they don't, maybe they're a coward and they're cursed. I think they're hitting their head on their yam harvest, so soft dirt. But if you basically you break your neck, you are basically cursed anyways. But if you just kiss your forehead or the top of your head
Just
on
a
the
little
ground,
tap.
Isn't that insane?
My goodness. Yeah, and they don't have it like measured out.
And it's not like it's not a
You see
bungee.
that?
It's a
two
fucking
vines.
vine.
It's vines around their ankles, right? Yeah. So he had been there with them. See that?
Oh my
whoa.
God.
Isn't that insane? It's one of the craziest
The
things.
whiplash.
I know.
Gnarly.
You have to be in shape. You have to be in shape to not die.
Yeah, and to even build that platform,
I
it's
know.
just sticks. Or
I'm not sure I have the
branches.
balls to climb up that platform, let alone jump off of it.
Right.
That thing looks rickety.
That's
I mean,
insane.
it's
dude.
literally insane. So he had hung out with these guys, right?
Okay.
Like lived with them for a bit. I forget if it was a few months or a year.
Wow.
But I mean, it's wild. So then he had lived with the Maasai tribe. I mean, that dude just got a concussion.
Yeah, that's insane.
maybe not. But then he had lived with the Maasai tribe that had spears that would either hunt lions or defend their livestock against lions. And something in me was like, okay, if you can tell anyone this crazy vision, it's him. Because for 3 days, it basically said, I'm not telling anyone. And then I maybe thought, well, if I tell anyone, or maybe I'll just blame it on psychedelics, right? Or point to that. And so there was a line for him. And I'm like, I'm not going to wait in the line. I'm not going to bother him. So I go in and get my buddies. Anyways, they start up the van. And I say, wait, time out. Like, I'm never going to see this dude again. I rip out a piece of paper, write down my phone number, try to hand that to him. Go back in. He's done with the line. I try to hand him my phone number. He goes, what's this? You going to give me your number? And I'm like, well, I got something to share with you sometime. Get home to your family, whatever. And I don't want to keep you too long. And he goes, no, man, I'm right in front of you. If you got something to share, tell me.
Yeah.
And so I start telling him this vision. And he says, well, the first thing out of his mouth, first he cracked a smile. And then the first thing out of his mouth was, I know who they are. And I said, what? And he said, they're the pygmy people.
Yeah.
And I said, who? And he said, they're in the Congo Basin rainforest. I'm like, where? And he's like, it's across 8 or 9 African nations. It's the second largest rainforest in the world. If there's anyone that's forgotten, it's them. And I said, how do you know this? He goes, because I'm going in 3 weeks.
Whoa.
You're coming with me.
Whoa.
Wow.
And this was 3 days after the vision?
3 days after the vision. We get on motorcycles and go through the rainforest. I don't know how to ride a motorcycle. Caleb had done motocross, so I'm on the back, my big heavyweight, riding through the rainforest in Congo. We get to this river. There's these dugout canoes.
By the way, does he know where he's going? He's
had been there one time before, not to Congo, but to Rwanda and Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania, all over, but not there.
Okay.
So you guys just land and he's like, hey, let's go that way.
He had talked to one person that had been on one of his trips with him from Africa, from Rwanda, that took us. And so he was acting as our translator and kind of knew where we were wanting to go. It was basically a scout trip just to see if there's any way to practically, tangibly help in any sort of way.
And to find them too.
And to find
right?
them, yeah. Because we then go across this river, which was wild because there was like water at the bottom of the canoe before we even set off. I'm like, this is sketchy. We get across and there's like crocodiles and hippos in the river. Not exactly where we were, but you can see them.
Yeah.
It's like, this is gnarly. We get out and we hike for about 30, 45 minutes. And as we're walking, we start clearing vines and thickets out of the way. And we hear drumming. We keep walking, we hear singing. And we keep walking. And I have this vision written down in my backpack.
Yeah.
We keep walking and we come into a clearing. And there's dome huts, twigs and leaves. And the first guy that acknowledges us is coughing. You can basically count his ribs. He's emaciated. Whoa. It's not like he's 90% the guy from the vision. Like he is the guy from the vision.
Yeah.
And it was the most staggering, like surreal. I felt like I got rocked in a fight. I'm spinning and I have to take a knee. And Caleb's like grabbing my trap saying, this is your vision. This is your vision. And I'm like, what? Like, can stuff like this happen in life, and does it? And you know why?
Well,
and
it did.
It did.